For my project, I will be discussing the topic and will argue why we should care. To begin, we must take a look at the two paintings that embody the ideals of beauty of the 1880s and present day. John Singer Sargent's best-known portrait, Madame X, captures the image of beauty of the 19th century as elegant but jaded. The subject's pose embodies the perfection sought out by women around 1884. Her body is fully erect and positioned to show the thinness of her waist and broadness of her chest. The way her hips are tilted and her holding the fan in her left hand add a provocative aspect to the painting, which was admired heavily by women to appear more feminine and perfect. Her skin is a bluish purple, which is caused by the chalky powder she massed onto her body as a form of concealing her true skin tone, which is a form of makeup in the 1880s. Madame X's skin and positioned body gives light to the provocative women of the 1880s and how their self-definition depends on their needs to appear perfect. On the other hand, Picasso's Girl Before a Mirror shows a woman surveying herself before a mirror. It shows a distorted reflection of an already distorted human image. As she stares into the mirror, she's staring into her soul rather than simply her outer being. Picasso's Cubist-derived elements in a surrealist atmosphere form an indissoluble link between the internal and external aspects of the body and the workings of the mind. Oftentimes, we look into a mirror to simply focus on and correct our imperfections, but she sees her uniqueness. The distortion of her reflection has the deeper meaning of how our interior and exterior imperfections make us who we are and are still beautiful. So now I'm going to talk about skin and the image of each of these women. So skin and the exterior of the body are important factors in differentiating these paintings. Skin is the first part of the body we see. It is at the forefront. The significance of the 19th century attitudes towards skin can be seen as adornment and expressivity of women. Cosmetics such as white powder were seen as an enhancement of features rather than a deception. This perfection of soft, flawless, pale skin with the flushed cheeks and reddened lips was a standard of beauty. However, critics were turned off by the eerie perfection and overuse of cosmetics of the woman. Some of the comments of these critics were, as said by Henry Housay, "It is both permeable and impermeable, superficial and profound, truthful and misleading. It is regenerative but caught in a continual process of desiccation." And Richard Corson added that Madame X is a plastic idol. Charles Baudelaire even questions the woman as a muse in his work in praise of cosmetics as a work of nature or a work of art. Contrastingly, the skin in Picasso's work has a variety of colors split down the muse's body. We see again the lilac cool tones seen in Madame X, but instead the other side of her face reveals a yellow, warmer tone of her skin, revealing her trueness. And even then, Picasso goes deeper in showing how what she sees in her reflection is very different from how others see her. In interpreting this painting, I take this as meaning that we are perceived differently by many people, but either way, we are still a work of art. As we explore the concept of art, we must also explore the minds and backgrounds of the artists to further understand their ideals in beauty. In looking at Sargent's friend's views on his work, I came across a quote that threw me off guard. His friend says, "Sargent was sometimes a little indifferent about color. He was not a great colorist, not even by temperament, naturally a colorist. Though superb color passages are often to be found in his work, but he never slighted the values." I also found another quote from Sargent himself after observing one of his own art pieces, saying, "Well, I had better go home and learn to draw." Sargent was insecure of his own work, and for that reason his paintings and muses emphasize his insecurity. The women in his paintings, especially Madame X, strive for perfection due to a lack of confidence. In these quotes, we can see that Sargent lacked confidence, and his poor choice of color emphasizes this. Other artists and art critics can sense his insecurity and say, Sargent worked within traditions rather than challenging them. And in the Art Amateur's June 1888 issue, it says, but those who don't like it pay all the same. What does it matter if Mr. Sargent, who above all his contemporaries perhaps, has the gift of imparting distinction of his subjects, makes a dowdy look like a queen, or to a little insignificant woman gives the air of a goddess, if no one can recognize in the picture the features of the original. Contrastingly, we see Picasso and his desire to push boundaries and think outside of the box. Picasso was well known for his cubism and paintings of women. His inspiration comes from those in his life and the outside world. But with a twist, Picasso said that it is not sufficient to know an artist's works. It is also necessary to know when he did them, why, how, and under what circumstances. He captured a scene with his eyes, and upon transferring it to the canvas, he added something more. Thus, vision and sentiment, as embodied in the painting, were harmoniously combined. Picasso often painted women, most of who he was at one point in his life in love with. John Berger has observed that these works refer without any ambiguity to all the experience of making love to this woman. They describe sensations and, above all, the sensation of sexual comfort. We know that Picasso painted women, and many art critics have delved into his work to study their meaning. But Picasso enjoyed the mystery. Picasso once said, "Everyone wants to understand art. Why not try to understand the songs of a bird?" Similarly, the painting of a girl before a mirror shows a woman who is mysterious and unique. Her features are odd compared to those of Madame X, but even then, she does not need to be understood. In today's world, the way we portray ourselves has no limitations, and we have the freedom to express ourselves without needing to be understood. Picasso relays this message over Sargent, whose ideas are to basically conform to society. So why should we as a society, and especially as women in today's society, care? As a woman in today's world, I see a painting like Madame X, and I feel insecure. I see a painting like The Girl Before a Mirror, and I feel I can be whoever I want to be, because there are no exterior appearance norms that I have to follow. It's the 21st century, and we're finally free to express our uniqueness in every aspect. Our appearance is at the forefront, and I believe that paintings like Girl Before a Mirror empower our generation to break beauty stereotypes by exploring the surreal and the avant-garde.